Guess what I saw? Guess what I saw last night? Godzilla! That's such a stupid intro. Such a dumbass intro. Oh no, but I got to see Godzilla -1 last night. It was so good. There is no by the way, fuck all of you. There's going to be spoilers. If you do not want to see spoilers or hear spoilers, leave. Go watch the movie and then come talk to me. If you don't care, if you've already seen it, welcome to the Dragon. This movie is so damn good from beginning to end. It is an amazing fucking reboot. The vibe, like the whole aesthetic, really makes you feel like you're in the 40s, first of all. It's like just the way it's kind of set up, the way people are dressed, the way the set design is, it's like peak. It's like it really puts you in there. It's wild. It made me want to go put on dress pants and suspenders. Like, that's stupid, but like, never mind about that. Then there's the characters. For the very first time, I actually cared about the human characters enough that I know their fucking names. At least most of them. There's Koichi, the main character. He was a kamikaze pilot that basically is a deserter who lied and said his plane was faulty, and then he got confronted by Godzilla in the beginning, and then he ran away because fucking Godzilla. So he's like a double deserter. He's like a coward or whatever. And that's like his arc is, his war being over. Doing his actual duty and stuff. Then there's Noriko, a woman that he met after he came back home at the end of the war to find that his family was dead. And then this woman, she was stealing food for her and this baby, Akiko, who she had found during the air raids. And I think like her Akiko's mom, actual birth mother, was like, please save my baby. And so she was like, fuck it, okay. Wild shit, but I guess you gotta do what you gotta do if you're good people, So he takes them in, he falls in love, they fall in love, but like, he can't marry her because of his like internal demons. Like I said earlier, like in his words, my war isn't over. His war isn't over because of what happened and what he did. He feels like he can't, like he probably like doesn't deserve it, I feel like. And that he's like damaged goods too, because this dude is shell shocked. This dude absolutely has major league PTSD, mostly from the Godzilla attack and surviving the war and all that jazz. And it's like, see how I'm talking mostly about the humans? That is how good this movie is. It's so good that it makes you care about the people. Like, there is no movie that makes me legitimately care about the people that much. Mostly I'm just like, come on, I want to see more Godzilla. Go G, go G. Like, the most you could get is like the psychic girl from the Heisei era and Serizawa from the Monsterverse. And that's just because he says iconic lines and she's also like kind of equally iconic. She's the psychic lady from the Heisei era and I still don't even know her name. It's so wild. Like, it's hard for me to remember Japanese names because I'm not Japanese. So it's like, it's hard for me to, catch it in my brain and keep it there. But like, I legit, like, I remember a lot of these, like, there's also Doc, Kid, and I actually don't know the leader of the boat team's name. So Koichi, after a while, he gets a job like basically clipping mines because there's like 60,000 mines off the coast of Japan. So he gets a job on a boat team, and since Americans used magnetic mines, they're on a wooden boat. Yeah, this is where this is going right now. So there's these guys. There's Doc. There's Kid, who didn't serve in the war because he was too young, and then there's the boat captain guy. I actually don't know his name. But, he's like the only character who I don't know. I even know the mechanic from the opening scene that I missed because me and my date, we were late to the movie by a few minutes. So we missed, like, the opening scene. Like, you know, it's the scene where Godzilla goes to Odo Island. The Odo... Is it an island? It's probably an island. Odo Island, and attacks Koichi's... Not battalion. Garrison. Garrison? Platoon? I'm going to say garrison. But, he attacks him and his guys, and there's this other mechanic, I think, who knows what he did and that he ran away and stuff, named Tachibana. He'll be important later. But, so he goes, they're disabling mines, but then in Noriko, she is freaked out by the mine job at first. She's like, I don't want you to die. You're not allowed to die. And he's like, whoa, dude, it's alright. All because it's dangerous doesn't mean I'm guaranteed death. Like, chill out. I think low-key he was hoping he would die, though. What is the description of that scenario? Then Godzilla starts showing up in the ocean and stuff. Like, other people start seeing Godzilla, and they have no idea what he is or who he is. Well, who cares who he is in that context? Because he's just a giant monster heading straight for fucking Tokyo. And he's like making a beeline for Tokyo. And like America, they're trying to help, but they're like, well, we don't want to piss off the Soviets because we just got off a war. Like, we're not trying to fuck with people right now. Like, we're not trying to throw hands with a giant monster and the commies. Like, and I wouldn't either. That's a hard decision. Because for all you know, if you tell the Soviets, like, if you tell the Soviet, like an enemy nation that, hey, there's a giant monster heading straight for Tokyo, to explain why you're attacking parts of the ocean, they might try and capture that and, like, clone it or something. You don't fucking know. That's a hard thing. It's a hard position to be in. And I do kind of like that they didn't, like, go off on a tangent saying, oh, fucking stupid Americans, selfish bitches. Like, they didn't. They're like, well, yeah, they don't want to piss off the Soviets, and everybody's like, yeah, that makes sense. At least that's the vibe I got from everybody, is that they kind of understood that they wouldn't want to piss off the Soviets either. They are the motherfuckers that got Hitler. So, and what happened next? That's right. So they're sending a big old warship to go deal with Godzilla, but it's not going to make there. Called the Takao. See how I know all these fucking names? I know the names of ships, man. There is no other Godzilla movie where you will remember the name of anything that isn't Godzilla or another monster. That's wild as fuck. It's so wild. Enough about that. But they're trying to send the Takao. They're sending him, but the cow will not make it in time. So they have to send the minesweepers to go deal with Godzilla, to hold him off long enough that the warship can go and blow his shit up. And that doesn't end well. Dude, heads up, that does not end well. So they do. And then you get the famous clip that you see all over the internet of Godzilla chasing them, because, when they're like, hey, when they blah, 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 blah. When they don't understand, Koichi, he explains to them what he met on Odo Beach, and that they are definitely facing that motherfucker today. And then they start, oh my god! I completely forgot a major detail. So, you remember in Jurassic Park, when, you could tell the T-Rex is coming because the water goes boom, boom, boom. So they have that in this movie. And instead of it being boom, 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 because obviously they're in the water, he's swimming, it's that whenever he comes up to the surface, he brings up a bunch of dead sea fish. He brings up a bunch of dead deep sea fish. And so they start seeing it come up, and then a lot of it fucking comes up, just like. And while Koichi is explaining to them what Godzilla is, and they're like arguing, like, we need to get the fuck out of here. Like, no, we need to hold off Godzilla. And no, like, we're in a little wooden boat. Godzilla's fucking huge. We are not holding him off. And then Godzilla shows up. takes out the other boat really fucking fast. And then the head of the ship, who was arguing to stay, he was like, you know what? Yeah, we should fucking run. It was so funny. He was like, yep, I'm booking it. And they were booking it. And Godzilla was chasing them, bro. He was chasing them. It was wild. It was so crazy. And they start, like, dropping mines, and it does nothing because it's Godzilla. And then they start shooting it. And they're like, well, what if we... And it's nothing. None of it is doing anything. So they're like, well, what if we drop the second mine in his mouth? So they do. And then they try and set it off in his mouth, and they can't because the line cut. Yeah, the line just broke off. So they're like, oh no! So Koichi, he gets on the gun, and he's just going, because their boat has a gun so that they can cut... They have a thing so that they can cut the mines from the bottom of the sea. So they come up, and then you shoot them with a machine gun. He shoots the mine that's inside Godzilla's mouth, blows up his face. Not all the way, but like, it gives him a good old two-face. But then they watch as it fucking heals like Wolverine. Holy shit. So cool. It was so awesome. And then, of course, the Takao comes right as Godzilla's about to fucking eat him. Like, he rises up in the water, and he's like, I'm about to fuck you up, boy. And then the cows just bow, 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 and just like blasts him, and like, you know, like scars up his face again. And again, it heals, and Godzilla goes and he eats the Takao. He rips it apart, then he goes underwater, and he atomic breaths it from below the water, just like in GVK. This shit was cool, but it was a lot different. It was like the way he shot it, which was like kind of foreshadowing for what he does to Tokyo, is that it didn't shoot like the way it does in the Monsterverse or in any of the other movies. It was almost like the Gauss cannon, the laser cannon that's on the back of the warthog, of one of the warthogs in Halo 2, and probably Halo 3. That's the only Halo game I haven't played, are the 3 ones. In Halo 2, you have you're on the back of a warthog, and then you boo, 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 and it was like a pulse. And that's what Godzilla did to the cow and just wrecked their shit. And it went straight to the fucking sky. It was wild. It was so cool. Because they blew up a mine directly in their own faces. Koichi, he gets hospitalized. He wakes up. They have dinner and stuff. He explains to his friends while they're having dinner that, like, he doesn't want to marry Noriko. Because suddenly they're like... They make jokes about, like, hitting on Noriko, like, hey, don't hit on Noriko, she's a married woman, because she's pretty, and she's really good at, like, the whole housewife dealio. Like, she is a good wife. She's a nice lady, she's pretty, she's hardworking, the whole, like, package deal, and they're, like, kind of teasing her about it a little bit, and like, oh, you're so great, Noriko, like, not teasing her, I guess, but, like... What is the opposite of teasing, now that I think about it? I don't know. Like, praising, I guess? I guess they're, like, kind of praising her in, like, a fun, like, lighthearted way. They're not being all serious, but they're, like, they're having fun. And she's like, oh, no, I'm not a married woman. And they're like, they look at him. They look at Koichi like he's a fucking idiot, because he is. He's stupid for not marrying this woman. This woman is amazing. Like, honestly, in that scenario... Well, I get why he doesn't marry her at first, because he has his own internal demons and he doesn't want to bring that to a relationship. He wants to take care of them and he loves them, both her and Akiko, their baby, that their adopted baby. You know what I mean. And so, like, the next scene, she is getting a job in Ginza so that she can, like, move out and stuff. And he's like, well, wait, why? Because he's, like, heartbroken. Because he doesn't want her to leave. He is in love with her. But he just can't marry her because his war isn't over. And she's like, well, I don't want to keep you from getting a wife. I need to be able to, move out. I can't just... I should also mention that throughout the movie, his house that she and Akiko moved into was completely wrecked. It was because it got hit with air raids because America, yay. But so progressively throughout the movie, fix my hair. So progressively throughout the movie, it gets better looking until it looks just immaculate. So by now, it's like an immaculate looking house. And he's like, well, I don't want to keep you, from getting a wife forever. You're going to want to get married. But and he's like heartbroken. And he's like, okay. And the neighbor who hates him because she knew that he was a kamikaze pilot and her kids got killed in the air raids along with his parents. She hates him. She's been watching Akiko for them, and so that they explain where Akiko's gonna be like when Noriko's at work. I think her name is Sumizaki. Yeah. She's actually a nice lady, and when she's kind of an asshole until she sees Akiko for the first time. She's like, shit, and gives them the rest of her like high quality rice so that they can make rice gruel for the baby, which was really because like she's like, I don't fucking care about you, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, wait, you have a baby? Fuck. And then she helps them, and she kind of they kind of like mend their relationship over time. Sort of. It's never gonna be like the way it was before the war, I assume. But it's a good relationship. She's Akiko's auntie. So Godzilla makes landfall in Tokyo. Oh yeah, and guess where he lands? That's right, Ginza, where she is working, bro. He goes straight for her, man. It's like he knows she's there because she's on a train, and he goes directly to the train. And he just picks it up with his mouth. She's just like hanging there, like everybody else like falls out and they die, and she's like hangs on just long enough to get into the water. And he is fucking shit up, and he's not just like walking around. He's like ripping buildings apart. And this whole time, I'm like, one, I have this kind of like that feeling I get, that deep kind of guilt I get but also I'm like, why the fuck is he so mad? He's just like being a giant asshole for no reason. Like, what did I miss in those first like 5 minutes of the movie? Because all I know, like from what I understand, it was just him attacking Odo. Like, what the fuck did humanity do to make him this mad in this movie? Like, what the fuck? I don't know. Because he's like ripping shit apart. So then Noriko, she gets out of the water again, focusing on the humans because the humans are weirdly equally the best part compared to Godzilla. Like, Godzilla and humans are weirdly equal in this movie in terms of interest. Like, I really give a fuck about Noriko. She's my favorite character outside of Godzilla. So Noriko's, she's going around the city, and eventually she's just like kind of like freezes up. She's like, oh my god, we are so fucked. And Koichi, who knew that Godzilla was going towards Ginza, made it to Ginza and found her in the middle of a mob. And I was like, how the fuck? What? How did you get to the right street at the right time, right as Godzilla is like right on top of her? And they run, and then, of course, tanks start firing at Godzilla. He gets pissed, and what does he fucking do? Atomic breath. This is the coolest atomic breath sequence I have ever seen in my life. From tail all the way to head, his dorsal scutes start extending as they glow when they're powering up. It is the coolest shit you will ever see in a Godzilla movie. That shit is dope. Alright? Like, I love the Showa era style MonsterVerse stuff, but like, the atomic breath in that is dope, and it has this cool organic feel. But this shit is like a fucking space laser. And you know what it fucking does? It causes a nuclear blast where it lands. He legit nukes Tokyo. That is so wild. It's so fucking cool. It blew my mind. I was like, holy shit. And Noriko, she sees the blast coming. They all see the blast coming. You know what she does? Pushes Koichi out of the way just in time, but not in enough time to save herself. And usually I'm like, that's stupid. Why didn't she just jump? In most scenarios. But in this one, it makes total sense because it's an atomic blast. It was coming in way too fast. She barely had enough time to do this. you know, like, it was just a gut reaction, and she had no fucking time. She gets whisked away. Spoiler alert, she sort of survives. It's kind of... I'll get to that at the end. And, you know, it goes blast, and then it comes back, which I think is actually how that kind of works, because it goes blur, and then it goes up for, like, the mushroom cloud. And I don't know how the fuck she survived that, though. Because that shit was wild. The whole time I'm like, oh, please let her survive. Let her survive. And it wasn't until a little bit later that I was like, oh, she really did survive. There's a couple things, like, in the movie where I heard, and I think it's just because I watch so many movies and stuff, like, because I want to be in that industry. So I've done a lot of, like, accumulating knowledge over time, that I kind of saw things happening. Like, I was like, oh, that's going to happen. Like, at one point, I was like, holy shit, she survived. And, like, it was just kind of weird vibes at certain times and certain scenes. I need to watch this movie a couple more times, but I do not have the resources. The only reason I was able to watch this movie is because I went on a date. Godzilla attacks Tokyo, and then he just fucks off. He just wrecks all of Ginza, nukes Tokyo, and just fucks off. And then so everybody survives. They're mourning Noriko, and then they have the obligatory, let's have a meeting to figure out how to kill Godzilla. You just lay down in your bed, Kilo. So they have the meeting, and it is the single most brain-dead plan, but scientifically accurate plan that I've ever heard of. Because they look at this Godzilla that has super healing powers and nuclear bomb breath, and they're like, what's our idea? We're going to create a layer of bubbles that makes him sink real deep, even though he's clearly a deep-sea monster. Because their hope is that the pressure will crush him, and then... So their plan is to wrap these cords of tanks, these, like, wire, these metal cords, wire things. They're big. I'm trying... With these canisters of these Freon that will, you know, Freon bubbles will wrap Godzilla and make him sink to the bottom of the ocean into a trench that's like I want to say 150, or like 100 or 15,000 meters deep. I think it was like 15,000 meters deep, and hopefully the pressure will crush him, and if it doesn't, they'll inflate a bunch of inflatable, like, raft things and make him rise up. And of course, somebody's like, well, if that doesn't work, what are we going to do then? We're like, whoa. And then Kid from earlier, from the boat team from earlier. By the way, this is Doc from the boat team. The doctor guy from the boat team is making this plan. Which is weird, but I get it. Main character. Kid is like, well, we could just pull him up with the boats. And they're like, motherfucker, he's like 22,000 pounds. Or tons. 22,000 tons. It's like 22,000 tons. You really think two fucking decommissioned warships are going to be able to fucking pull that up? You're an idiot. Which is true. Which also is a Chekhov's gun for Kid's going to come back later and with a bunch of tugboats to help them pull Godzilla to the surface. Yeah, so basically, it's either crush him at the bottom of the ocean or give him the bends, and hopefully, like, air bubbles will, like, appear in his brain. He'll get the bends and he'll die, which is stupid, and that doesn't work, obviously. And they also are gonna get some people leave, but most of them stay because there's like a big plan of a big group of civilian men, like veterans. Because the government can't do anything because the Soviet Union and America, obviously Japan, their military is decommissioned because World War II. So they can't do anything. Their military and government can't do anything. The American government can't do anything. And the Soviets aren't going to do anything because it's none of their business. And so, which is valid. Their country, their problems, that is valid. You have every right to do that as a country. Not judging, even though it's a fictional version of the Soviet Union, so I can judge as much as I want to. I'm not going to, because it is understandable. I wouldn't want to square up with Godzilla either, because every time, especially after he fucking nuked Tokyo, I wouldn't want to. I would not want to be anywhere near that nonsense. At all. Like, even if somebody does drop a nuke on him, if they did send somebody to drop a nuke on him, it would have to be a kamikaze, because if he survives and he follows that plane back to America, we would be fucked. So it's reasonable. So yeah, this plan is to sink him and then raise him up, and they're all like, that's not gonna work. They're all they're hopeful, and they're kind of talk themselves into it like it is gonna work, and they all know it's not. And so they also get a plane, because Koichi is a kamikaze pilot. He's like, can you get your hands on a plane for me? And they're like, all the planes are decommissioned. They're like, but Doc is like, we'll find something for you. Him and there's this general guy too. I'm not giving you all the details. I'm kind of just giving you like the run through. So I'm definitely missing characters in some scenes. All right, it's just kind of the general census of what's going on in this movie. And so yeah, so they get their hands on this experimental plane, which is legit just like a jet with like a propeller in the back. It's really cool. It's a cool looking thing, but it needs to be repaired. So here comes back Tachibana. So Koichi, he finds the general area of where Tachibana is, and he sends a bunch of letters basically blaming him for Odo Island so that he'll get pissed off and come find him. And he does, and beats the shit out of him. Tachibana does show up, the plan works, and he beats the shit out of him. At first, he's like, no, I'm not gonna fucking help you. You're a bitch. Until Koichi says that he's gonna go full kamikaze and finally do his duty on Godzilla. He's gonna fly directly. He was like, I want you to outfit the plane with bombs so that I can fly directly into his mouth and blow his head off. And he's like, you know what? All right, fine, I will help. And he comes the next morning, and they fix it up. Insert montage here, and then Godzilla comes too early, and they almost get absolutely fucked. So Koichi has to get in the plane. I forgot a key detail. I'm an idiot. So a key detail in this is that while they were building it, like the night before Godzilla shows up again, Tachibana shows him a primer thing for the bomb. He says, pull this right before you go into Godzilla's mouth. It's like, you remember that red lever thing that you pull in Lilo and Stitch? That thing? Maybe I'll pull up a clip of it. I don't fucking know. But he's like that. And the second he showed that, I was like, he knows about Akiko, and he made an eject lever, an ejection thing. And so the next day, the next day, Godzilla shows up way too early, legit picks up the decoy boat, and throws it back into the dockyard, into the shipyard. He just chucks it like it's a fucking football. And I know people died in that scene, but that was really funny. It was so fucking hilarious. Because you just see them watching it, like... Godzilla shows up, so Koichi, he gets on his plane, he lures Godzilla, so Godzilla just kind of walks through, and he goes, into the, farm areas. So Koichi, starts attacking him, and it's, close calls, and stuff, and it's really cool, and you get to see full-body Godzilla stuff. And it was awesome. So Godzilla chases him back into the water, he lures him to the trench, they do their plan. It doesn't work, so they try and pull him up, and he chews through the rafts. So they try to pull him, and they can't. So then Kid, from earlier, like I said earlier, he comes in with a bunch of tugboats, and they all slowly pull him to the surface. And, yeah, no, that still doesn't work. So Godzilla's charging up his atomic breath, because he's about to fuck all of them up. And they're all, crying, they know they're about to die, and that they failed. That this is the end of the world, pretty much. And then Koichi goes full suicide bomber, goes full kamikaze into this motherfucker. Everything slows down, and then the music stops, and all you hear is the plane coming in, woo, just straight into Godzilla's mouth. Except then there's a flashback in the middle of this that shows that he actually, which I was surprised, because I thought that he had the lever, the primer, was actually an ejection lever, and that he just didn't tell him. But in this random flashback in the middle of him flying towards Godzilla, you see that he's like, and this is an ejection lever. And he's basically told this dude that you need to live for your family. Because he had figured out that about Akiko. And during all this, Akiko actually also, like, back in Japan, Akiko is, she gives, like, a big package full of money to Sumizaki, to her auntie, saying, and there's a letter that basically says, please take care of my Akiko for me. And then this money is for her, and just has hella fucking dollar bills. Like, just, like, hella money in there. And, like, I think, like, a deed or something, or some kind of big check thing. I don't know. And then she immediately gets another letter, and I'm telling you right now, it's a letter from Noriko, saying, a telegram from Noriko saying that she's alive. And so she goes to she takes Akiko and goes to the shipyard for when they come back, and that'll be addressed later. But back in the thing, so there is an ejection lever, so he goes in and he ejects right at the last second, and boom, goes right into Godzilla's mouth, like, and there's a pause, and then boom, blows his fucking head off in the middle of right as he's about to do the atomic blast thing. And because he was in the middle of doing the atomic blast, and when his brain got destroyed, then the all that radiation had nowhere to go, so it decomposed his body in real time. And there's like these like kind of like these lights shining into the sky. It looked very religious. Godzilla usually does. That's pretty par for the course with religion parallels. Even in the King of the Monsters movie that came out in 2019, there was a lot of religious iconography. And I'm kind of here for it. It was really cool. And then he decomposes, and they're like, oh my god, we won! They get back to the shipyard. Sumizaki, shows him the telegram. He takes Akiko, goes straight to Noriko, to the hospital that she's at, and she's like, she has like bandages everywhere and stuff. She's like, is your war over now? And he just starts crying. He's just sobbing aggressively. Because I would be too. If the woman I love, I thought was dead, and I was about to kamikaze for her, and then I suddenly find out that because I didn't kamikaze, like I ejected, that I got to see her again, and that she was alive and okay, and we could be a family. I would be sobbing aggressively. I don't give a fuck how much of a man you are. You are crying in that scenario. All right. No level of masculinity prepares you for that level of, like, dread to joy. That it's like getting the emotional bends. Like, you're fucked, dude. You're gonna cry. Like, hard. And I didn't, like, because it wasn't real with the movie, and I was watching, so I didn't cry. But, like, if I was him, I would have been sobbing aggressively. Just like he was. And then, right before the scene cuts, you see a little Godzilla scute-shaped, like, veiny thing in the end, which I can only assume means that she's going to turn into Godzilla in the next movie. Or she's going to die. Or something. She's going to have some connection to Godzilla now. Maybe she's going to be like the psychic girl from the Heisei movies. Maybe she's going to turn into Godzilla, and Kuichi's going to get cucked by a giant nuclear lizard. But then it hard cuts to reference to Godzilla Monsters All Out Attack, or GMK, and you see a chunk of Godzilla, and it starts beating. Boom, 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 boom. You hear Godzilla scream, and then cut to black. That is the movie, and I gotta say, this is probably my favorite reboot of Godzilla. It's better than Shin Godzilla. It's better than 2014. No, it's not. But it's just as good as 2014. Excuse me. But it's definitely, that's an unfair comparison, honestly. Because it's, like, in terms of Japanese movies, it is better than Shin Godzilla. It is a better reboot than Shin Godzilla. It's a period piece, like, reboot. It's not like a spiritual reboot kind of thing where it's like, oh, in modern day, blah, 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 blah. No, it's like the old movie made new with a slightly different ending and, like, better human characters. And it's so good. I can't even say. It's just, like, amazing. It's like, they have the old Akira Ifukube theme bum 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 bum, and they like amp it up. Like it's on fucking steroids in this baby. It's epic. Soundtrack is 10 out of 10. The cinematography is 10 out of 10. The graphical quality, like the CGI, is actually great. People are like, oh, sometimes it doesn't look real, and but it serves its purpose. I'm like, y'all are capping like motherfuckers. This shit looks good. Shit looks just as good as the 2014 movie. Like, holy fuck, dude. In broad daylight, too. Like, it was peak, bro. And it was only $15 million. 15 million American dollars worth. Actually, it was less. Because when people were poking the director about this, he's like, it was actually less. Alright? Will you fucking leave me alone? And I was like, God damn. Like, and apparently, at the end of the credits, unless I misunderstood, the guy who directed it also wrote the script and did the visual effects. What the fuck? Is this an indie film? The hell? My guess is that he was, like, the head of the visual effects department, too. That's my guess. And I probably misunderstood what they were saying in that credit. Well, like, this whole movie was just so wild, and I wasn't... Like, I don't want to say I wasn't expecting it to be good. The second I heard about it, I knew it was going to be awesome. But I didn't know it was going to be, like, the definitive modern 1954 experience. You know what I mean? Like, the definitive OG style experience. Like, I didn't know it was going to full-on surpass Shin Godzilla this hard. Like, it was so epic. Like, full 11 out of 10, absolute fucking banger! I will watch until the end of time. I'll see you guys around. I love you. Catch you next time.